My name is Mahbul Ainain. I'm an American Egyptian. I'm a communications executive. In other words, a professional storyteller. A great question. First of all, I was born and raised in the U.S. to both Egyptian parents. I'm very much Masriya. The Arab culture is a big part of me and my DNA of how I approach business. I believe all business is personal. I believe in building relationships. And so I really feel like it's a big part of the Arab culture is hospitality, giving people your time, showing up for people is a big part of that culture. And I think from the American side, obviously, you think about results and being driven and the ambition of, getting things done. So I think I learned the best of both worlds in that relationships and the drive and energy. Really, honestly, I've been working for 30 years and I've always wanted to write a book. I love books. I love reading them. I love collecting them. And I thought, what should I write a book about? Should I write about my career in communications, working for Google in Dubai and Netflix and all the big companies and even the ruler of Dubai? Or should I write about not what I did, but how I did it? So the book focuses on how I did it. What were the things that made me different in my success story? The challenges I faced, the successes I was able to achieve. It wasn't about what I did, but how I did it. And that's what the rules focus on. Yeah, I mean, my dad, Allah yarhamu, was a big part of my life and my inspiration and kind of my North Star for everything that I achieved. And my dad was one of the first people to tell me, put your head down and work hard and let your work speak for itself. Don't look for credit. Don't look for recognition. Just focus on doing good, hard work. And I did that. The other thing, which is another kind of, which is on the cover of the book, and it's the first rule of the book, is stay low and keep moving. That you need to really focus on bringing value to other people by putting your head down and delivering like that. I mean, we live in a world where we live in real time. Anyone with a phone can have access to post and publish anything to anyone around the world. So your reputation is your most valuable currency, and anyone at any time can cancel you or post something that's not favorable to your reputation. So I think it's really, really important that you wake up every day thinking about how do I build my reputation, how do I grow it, and how do I protect it. And a lot of people hear the term personal brand and don't like it because they think it thinks social media influencer. But think about it in context of reputation. How do you want people to know you? And it's simple. Ask them, what are 3 words you would use to describe me? Are you loyal? Are you a go-getter? Are you a good listener? Are you someone I can rely on? Are you somebody who shows up for people? Are you wahda gada? Like, what are the things that people would use to describe you? That's sum'atak. That's your reputation, and that really, really matters. It carries in this world. And the only way you can build a strong reputation is if you build trust with people, if you build good relationships with people, and if you do the right thing. This book is a leadership book, but of all the chapters in the book, this is the most emotional one. It's not the one people are expecting to cry, and they do. I do tell the story of my parents. So my mom had multiple sclerosis. She was disabled and handicapped since I was 14. My father had ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease, another debilitating neurological disease. And I could have regretted everything that was handed to me or the cards that I was dealt. And I think I spent a lot of time thinking about how are these setbacks going to change me and make me grow and help me as a human being in everything that I do? And how do I take that setback and turn it into a comeback, or take the struggles I'm facing and turn them into a strength? And I think, a lot of times everybody faces difficulty in their lives. Everybody, me, you, everybody. How can you take those lessons and the things that you're facing and not let it define you, that I'm only going to be a caretaker my whole life. I'm only going to be taking care of mom and dad. What about my life? What about my career? What about my goals? What about my ambition? What about my future? And that's why I wrote this chapter and why I made it one of the rules of the book. Like, it doesn't need to define you. It can be a part of you. But don't feel sorry for yourself of the bad cards you've been dealt, and try to find light in it or beauty in it or lessons from it. And that's exactly what I did. Yeah, so I had full-time jobs. I worked at General Mills in the US, I worked at Weber Shandwick here in the Middle East, and I worked at Google here based out of Dubai. And I worked in corporate and I wanted to become an entrepreneur. And I loved my jobs. Obviously, those were great roles for me and I learned so much from them. But I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I wanted to control what I worked on every day. I wanted to lead and inspire. And I'm a very kind of agile, adaptable person. I want to be able to pivot and switch gears. And so that's why I chose to be an entrepreneur. I have no business experience at the time I started my company becoming an entrepreneur. And most people don't. You're just passionate about an idea, you're passionate about what you can do. I started my communications firm 20 years ago now. I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. My company is called Digital and Savvy. We do strategic communications. We do a lot of training, a lot of coaching, helping people communicate. It is the number one skill you need to have in this world. No matter what happens on social media or AI, having the ability to communicate is an important skill. To connect with others, to build trust, to protect your reputation, to get customers, to get investors, to get partners, you have to know how to tell a story and you have to know how to communicate. I love thinking about personal branding. It is the critical tool that everybody needs to be thinking about today. Whether you're an employee, whether you're an entrepreneur, start building your personal brand today. The biggest mistake that a lot of people make is that they're trying to create a persona or they need to build a reputation based on being an influencer or being a social media personal brand. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how can you share your values? How can you talk about the things you care about? How can you share as your personal brand thought leadership? What are the expertise that you have acquired or you're good at that you want to share with other people? Can you give that value away from free? Can you do it through a podcast or through talking on social or speaking at an event or in closed doors or with your team members? That's building your personal brand. It's how you treat people behind closed doors and in real life. It's more important what you do in real life than on social media because those are the interactions where you can create that connection. Yeah, so in General Mills, I worked in sports marketing. So I did a lot with brands that had to do with sports and helping integrate with consumers. I think I had an incredible manager at General Mills. She was very tough and she was very good at teaching me how to be a good employee. So she invested a lot in me. She taught me the value of, in order to be a good writer, you have to be a good reader. She talked a lot about investing in yourself and upskilling yourself outside of work. What can you do to read, listen to podcasts? What could you do to help invest in yourself and not expecting someone to just hand it to you on a silver platter? Because learning is for free and from anywhere. So that's what I learned a lot from General Mills is how to invest in yourself, how to really grow. Your personal development is your choice. Secondly, at Google, obviously, Google is a tremendous company, one of the best places to work with, every year been voted to be the best place to work. And I think they taught me the value of collaboration, that don't just stay in your lane. Don't just work on your own projects by yourself. Ideas can come from anywhere. How can you collaborate and learn from different team members? And they really put an emphasis on cross-functional collaboration. How can you make sure that you're getting insights and ideas from other team members? When you have a project, it might spill over into other departments. How can you bring their perspectives into the problem or the opportunity so that you're really thinking it through from a 360 perspective? And I love that. I love thinking about getting ideas and help from anywhere. Yeah, I mean, so I do a lot of business here in Dubai and in the Middle East, and I do a ton of business, obviously, in the US. And so being able to straddle both cultures is important. Understanding what people care about, understanding the cultural nuances, understanding how to be sensitive to the things that matter to the people in each market really matters. And then I always think about how can I create value for the other side? How can I help people in the US understand how to do business here? And how can I help people here understand how to do business in the US? And I think there's so many things that we have in common across both cultures, intuitively wanting to be able to communicate, sports, entertainment, culture, those things translate across borders. And I find that there's more things we have in common than things we have uncommon. Build relationships. If you want to build a consulting firm or your own business or be an entrepreneur, you will never be able to do it by yourself. So you need to build relationships. And I call it make deposits in other people's trust banks, right? How can you create relationships over time that you can take withdrawals from when you need them? So building relationships will be key to building a successful business. I lived in Dubai for almost 10 years, and I used to go to the Emirates Literature Festival every year. I love books. I like to go stand in line and meet the authors. I like to go to the sessions. It's like brain candy, right? It's like learning can come from anywhere. I love learning from books. And so this is an event I've religiously been going to before I became an author. So imagine getting to go there this time as an author was just a thrill for me. And I love the event. I love so many things about it. One, they do a tremendous amount for kids in schools. So today all the kids showed up and I was like, oh my God, it's so fun. And the kids are all reading and they're enjoying the joy of reading, which is so nice to see kids reading instead of sitting on their phones. So I think that I like that about it. Secondly, you get to connect with other authors. So there's all these authors and you have access to talk to some of the best authors in the world come to this event. And then three, Emirates, nobody does hospitality better than Emirates. So like, I can't even imagine how lucky we are to get to experience what they do for Emirates' hospitality in a literature event. So it's been really fun for me. I mean, I like to just create value for you. Like if you follow me on social media, I give a lot of free advice on how to be a better storyteller, how to build your personal brand, how to network, leadership tips. DM me, tell me what questions you have. I want to bring value to you. And I do a lot of online coaching and training, and you can go to my website to get more information on how to participate in those.